Hello, coders. This is Mr. T, and I'm back to do what is going to be part two of making a game called Cheese Chase in Scratch using the computer program Scratch. As you can see, I'm already on the Scratch website, scratch.mit.edu if you haven't been here before. And I have created my own account already, which is where I'm going to be working. If you go do things on Scratch, I'm going to encourage you to, in order to save things, you'll need to make your own account. But we're going to move on to step two of Cheese Chase. If you watched part one, you saw me show you how to make a mouse and have that mouse move with the arrow buttons, the direction arrows on my keyboard. The other thing I did was I showed you how to make a piece of cheese, and also to make it so when the mouse touches the cheese moves to a random position within the game, as you see me doing right here on the game. This is the first part of how this game works. You have a mouse, and you get it to move around the screen and catch the cheese. Okay. Ultimately, this is going to be a game where the mouse is chasing the cheese around a maze, where and different enemies are chasing the mouse around the maze, trying to stop it from doing that. Okay. So three things we're going to look at today. First is going to be how to make a score on this in this game. Okay, so whenever you have the mouse catch up with the cheese, or I should say touch the cheese, I'm going to show you how you can make it so 10 points is added to the score. Second thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to change the size of the mouse and the cheese, because to be honest, and for this widescreen, it's okay, but for when we start making, the enemies chase the mouse around, and when we put the maze in, we're going to need these to be smaller. Okay, and the third thing we're going to do is we're going to add a ghost that's going to float around the float around the screen and try to catch the mouse. Okay, so those are the three things we're going to do. So I am going to start by adding the feature that makes the score get added, and the score should actually be connected. For this, it's going to be connected to the cheese. All right, so we're going to go over here to the variables button. Okay, and if you see here, we've got my variable. That this is where you put different variables. Well, right now there is not a score, not a score variable in here. So we need to make a variable, and we're going to call that variable score, and it's for all sprites. Okay, so now I'm going to get this block here which says set my variable, but I'm going to change this. It's going to say set score to 0. Okay, so when the green flag is clicked, the score is going to set to 0 for the cheese. Okay, and another thing I'm going to do here, because I changed this at some point. I'm going to do this because we're going to have to redo that in a second. We're there. Yeah. Okay, so that is how we do the score. Have a scoreboard. You can see here on our stage, there's a score and it says 0. So if I play it now and I move my mouse, the cheese moves, but the score doesn't change, right? So all I did so far is get it so that. So I need to do one more thing to get it so the score will change. And to do that, see where it says right here, change my variable. I don't want to change my variable. I want to change my score here. And so if the mouse, what you're basically telling the program is when the mouse is touching the cheese, we're going to change the score by 10. Okay, I want to remember to save that. Excuse me. So right now, I just added when clicked, we set the score to 0, so there's a score there. And then, as before, the cheese goes to a random spot, but when the cheese is touching the mouse, it's going to change the score by 10. All right, so let's look and see what happens here. I got to click the green button, and there's the cheese. Whoa. Let me start that over. It jumped up a lot there. Okay, we're back to 0. Okay, and sometimes if the cheese doesn't move far enough, the mouse actually will hit it again quickly, and you don't even tell. You can't even tell. There, it moved once and went up to 30. There, I think it hit it twice there. There, it went there. It hit twice. You hear it hit the tail. So you can hear it. It hit twice, and that's why the score went up 10. Hit 20, I should say. Okay, so that's the score. We added the score there. Okay, set the score to 0, and that. Okay, so that's adding the score to this. All right, so that's relatively simple to do. You just have to make a variable, call it score, and then set the score to 0, and then change the score here. All right, so that's that part. We're going to move on here because I talked about changing size of things. Okay, because that mouse is pretty big and the cheese is pretty big, and there's other things that we may want to change the size of. So I'm going to do that next. I'm going to stay with the cheese for the moment, and to change the size, we have to go to the looks button over here, and it'll bring up all these different looks. Okay, and what I'm looking for is change size, or I should say set size. Okay, so I'm going to set the size to, then this is the cheese we're dealing with. Right now, the cheese would be 100%. See, way over there. Okay, and it's, you can see the cheese is pretty big. Okay, that cheese is pretty big, right? So what I want to do instead, I don't need the cheese to be that big. I want it to be, we're going to try if it's about, let's see what it looks like if it's 33%. That would be 1/3 size. So it should be about 1/3 this big now when I start the game. You see how much smaller it is there? I go full screen. Now the cheese is a lot smaller. Like that. It's doing that. And my cheese is smaller. Okay, and it's still counting 10 every time I hit. So I've changed the size of the cheese, and as you build this game, keep in mind, you know, if you want to make the cheese bigger, smaller, you can do that. I'm just showing you how to set it to 33 here. My mouse is pretty big too. Okay, I would say it's too big for this game. You might like having a mouse that size, but I'm going to set the size, and I see here I'm on the mouse sprite page, and I'm going to say I've set the size to, well, let's see what it's like if I set the size to 40%. So that means it's 40%, a little less than half of its current size is what that means. I'm going to save that. I'm going to stop. I'm going to go to the full screen. And see how the size of the mouse, now it's a lot smaller, right? There we go. It's changing like that. So it keeps going and finding the cheese, and the cheese is moving like that. Okay, so I personally like the size of my cheese, and I like the size of my mouse. Again, if you want to change it, if you find you play the game and it makes it too easy or too hard, you can easily change the size of it just by doing that right there.
Okay, which that's the first two things we've done today. Now I'm going to move on because the third thing I told you we're going to do is we're going to add an enemy. Okay, and that means we're going to need to add another sprite. Remember, if you remember from the first uh, installment of this tutorial, I showed you how to add sprites, but I'm going to show you again. Here you go to this little cat looking thing here, and it'll say choose a sprite. And you could upload one, you could get this surprise one, you can paint one like we did with the cheese before, or you can choose a sprite. We're going to choose a sprite because there's a particular sprite I'm looking for in here. And I'm looking for a ghost because in the book that I'm reading, it says to make this spooky. So there's the ghost. Just add a ghost to the stage. But I want to first of all find my events because remember before the sprite is going to do anything, you have to have something happen that's going to activate it, and it's when the green flag is clicked. We need something to happen. Okay, and the first thing I want this ghost to do is I want to hide because this is a ghost that you don't always see, and you'll see what that means in a second. But here, watch what happens. If I click the green button or the green flag, the ghost, we don't see it. We don't know where it is because one of the things about this game is the ghost is set up so sometimes he's there and then he appears and you don't know where he's going to appear. Okay, so he hides to start. Also, since we were just talking about it and talking about size, we are going to set his size to set size. And the ghost size, we're going to have it be about 40%. Okay, just like the mouse was. Okay, and then another thing we need to do, and I think this is under motion. We want to go to motion, and then we're looking for something that says set rotation style, and that goes here. And there's a couple. Don't rotate, left, right, all around are the options. I'm going to leave it as left, right. Okay, and what that means is when the ghost moves, starts going another direction, it rotates to the left and right. Okay, that's just how we're going to have it rotate. Okay, now what I need the ghost to do is I need it to move, and this ghost is particularly whenever it's moving, it is following the mouse. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to set this control with forever, and it is going to its motion. Is that a motion thing? No. I think it is. Point towards. Yeah, we're looking at the motion blocks, and we find point towards, because here's what I want to do. I want to have it move point towards mouse 1. Okay, we got our mouse 1's right there, right? So what that means is wherever the ghost is, it needs to move point in the direction of the mouse, and it's going to move still under motion. It's going to have the ghost is not going to move very fast. It's only going to move one step at a time. I think I talked about before, when you do moving steps, the more bigger this number is, the faster the character moves. Okay, if I move 10 steps, it's going to move a lot faster. But this is going to move one because it's a ghost, and it just we want to give it the idea that it's floating around. Okay, now what I want to do next is this control thing. We're looking for an if-then block, and it's if-then. If touching, so we need to go to the sensing blocks, and I'm looking for touching. So if this ghost is touching mouse 1, then
and this is back to the control. What I'm trying to do is stop. Where is this stop? Stop all. Okay, so these blocks say is first the ghost is going to appear, or when it's clicked, it's actually going to hide to start, and its size is going to be 40%, but it's going to rotate left, right, and it's always going to be pointing towards the mouse. It's always chasing the mouse, and when it touches the mouse, it stops. Now, to complete this ghost, we actually need to start and make another little set of blocks. Okay. Okay, so we need to actually do another event where it's clicked when the green flag is clicked, and again, this is something that's going to happen. It's a forever thing. All right, and forever. I thought we had it hide before, but that's okay. And then we're going to have it wait. Let's get it to hide first. Hold on. We want to hide here, and then we want to wait, and the wait is another control block. We want to wait. Now, the way this game is going to be set up, it's you don't want the player to know. I don't want the player to know how long the ghost is going to hide. So I'm going to pick a random amount of time, which is under operators, and we're going to go pick random. So instead of saying wait 3 seconds, I'm going to pick a random range, anywhere from 3 to 7 seconds is how long the ghost is going to do what it's going to do. And then the ghost is going to go somewhere. Go to, and I'm going to set this up so when the ghost, after 3 to 7 seconds, it's going to go to a random spot. Okay, like we did before. Remember how we did with the, was it with this? Yes, with the cheese. We had the cheese. If we look at the cheese, remember we went to, if it goes to a random spot somewhere in the grid, we're going to do the same thing with this ghost. He's going to go to a random spot. So let me show you here. You're going to pick a, but X is going to pick random, and the X, remember the X-axis is this way, and it goes from negative 220 pixels all the way to 220 pixels on the other side, and that's the X-axis. So it's going to go negative 220 to 220, and then the Y is also going to be random, and it's going to go, remember this is the Y-axis, it goes from 160 pixels up here to negative 160 pixels down here, and we're telling this ghost to go to a random spot somewhere within the screen. Okay, it could go anywhere, just like the cheese did. Remember the cheese, whenever the mouse touches it, it just bounces all around the screen. You don't know where it's going. This ghost is going to be the same way. Okay, and then what we want to do after it's ready, when it's gone to a spot, is it hides for 3 to 7 seconds, and then we are going to show it. Let me show you how this works. Okay, so it's up here. We just basically we set its size, and we set its rotation style, and it's chasing the mouse. And if it touches the mouse, then it stops. But here we had to add in, it's going to hide for 3 to 7 seconds, and then it's going to go to this random spot, and then it's going to show itself. So it's going to look something like this. 3, 4, 5, 6. Huh. Let me see, why is that happening?
Let's see. Let me make sure I did that right. And then, I'm not sure why it's not doing that. But let's do this, because what I want to do is I want it to hide and then show itself. Hide for 3 to 7 seconds, it shows itself. And then, again, I want it to wait. And again, it's going to we're going to pick a random number of seconds. And again, it's going to be 3 to 7 seconds. So basically what that's saying is to this ghost, the ghost sprite, when it's clicked, first it's going to hide, and then it's going to wait 3 to 7 seconds. It's going to move to a random spot, and it's going to show itself, and then it's moving that whole time, chasing the mouse, and then it's going to wait and wait 3 to 7 seconds, and then it's going to come back here. It's going to hide again, and it's going to wait, and it's going to appear again. So it should, if this is cooperating, should be working okay. Let's see. Where's our... There, see, there comes the ghost. See, it appeared just out of nowhere. It's going to be here for 3. Now it's gone. So when it's gone, you don't have to worry about it. And I can just get points. Ghost. See how the ghost is chasing the mouse wherever he goes? Where's that ghost? There. See, comes the ghost. And when it touches the mouse, the game is over. Okay, let's do that again so you can kind of see. Ghost is gone at the start. Waits 3 to 7 seconds. I don't know how long it's going to be. And I don't know where it's going to appear, which makes it kind of tricky. And now the ghost went away. I don't have to worry about it. Till it comes back, and there it is right there. I didn't know where it was going to come. Okay, which makes it a bit challenging, I must admit. Okay, and let's see here. Okay, the last thing, let me see how I'm doing a time here. You know what? I think that's plenty for right now. We're going to go back. I'm going to show you everything we did, and then we're going to wrap up. Okay, so today we added, what did we add? We added to the cheese sprite, we added scores. Remember we added in here, we said, here's our scoreboard, and we can change the score by 10 anytime the cheese and the mouse collide with each other. I also showed you we talked about how to set the size of things. Okay, I changed this cheese's size to 33%, which means it's about 1/3 of its normal size. I changed the mouse size to 40%, and then we added a ghost. It's an enemy that does some cool things as far as it moving around. It points directly to the mouse. It chases the mouse. And when it hits the mouse, when the mouse hits the ghost, then the game's over. And that's that. For this time, I'm going to go through the game. I'm just going to show you how the game plays one more time. What we've got so far. So I got my mouse catching cheese like that. And there comes the ghost. It's chasing the mouse. If you wanted to speed the ghost up, I think you know how to do that. I like the speed of the ghost right now, because part of it's because there's other things that are going to be added to the game later that we don't need the ghost to be too fast. So we're just building this few pieces at a time. Ghost, see how the ghost just chases the mouse all over the place? I think that's kind of cool. But that's that. All right, so we're going to let the ghost hit the mouse and end the game. So that's that. So that is part 2 of building Cheese Chase. I hope you're following what's going on. If you got questions, you can leave them in the comment section. Next time I do this, section 3, we're going to add some music to the game, and then I'm going to show you how to actually create the maze. That's for sure on the next one. We're going to make the maze. We're going to add some music, and maybe like make the maze colored. And for the next one, I think that's going to be enough. So that's it. With that, I am going to stop the video or stop recording and put this up. So please feel free to go to Scratch and build your own version of Cheese Chase. And if you
want to, you can share it with me in the comment section. I'll be happy to see what you've done. Thank you. Bye bye.